Might be the smallest card this season, just 9 Division I FBS games, but 5 of those 9 are head-to-head top 25 matchups. So it's actually the deepest top 25 report I've given you. I'm giving you half the games free this week right here on the channel, right here in this video. Free analysis, free picks for 5 games coming up for the championship weekend in college football. Hi, this is Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com, right back here on WagerTalk TV, breaking down your college football top 25 matchups for this, what would we call this now, I guess, week number 15, the college football season. And we're going to get to the 4 Saturday games, but quickly, let's look at the Friday night game. And by the way, I do have a standalone deep dive video on this game between UNLV and Boise I did earlier in the week. Number 20 UNLV, number 10 Boise State. And as I mentioned in that video, I do lean towards UNLV plus the 4.5. Was still doing my simulation and putting all the inputs in for my 10,000 game simulations earlier this week when I did that video. Didn't have that ready for you at the time, but hey, lo and behold, Boise State by 4.5 is exactly my projection. So I think the line is fair, and I like the matchup here for UNLV. My concern, once again, is the weather. It's going to be cold, but clear, limited winds. So the weather shouldn't be a factor unless the cold bothers UNLV, which it might. When they played last in October a couple months ago, it was indoors in Las Vegas, 78 degrees. But otherwise, this matchup is pretty equal. You look at the yards per play numbers and the overall points numbers, UNLV is just as good as Boise State. In fact, in conference games this year, UNLV 16.5 points per game better than opponents. Boise 17.5. But Boise's only 0.8 yards per play better. UNLV's been 1.5 yards per play better, and that's came against a lot of common opponents on the same locations, 4 or 5 common opponents on the same site, so those numbers are pretty meaningful. In fact, overall this season, 2 great rushing attacks. In fact, Boise's just explosive, but UNLV held them to their second lowest rushing yards and yards per attempt of any game this season. And while both teams run the ball and actually run the ball more than they pass, UNLV has the better passing attack. So it very well could come down to UNLV being able to throw the ball better in this game. Boise's averaging just overall this year 7.6 yards per pass against teams that give up 7.6. UNLV is averaging 8.1, giving up just 6.6. Keep an eye on UNLV plus the 4.5. The weather's a concern if it's really cold, but otherwise, if it's clear, which it should be, I think UNLV could be a live dog at plus 4.5. And also, you never know, Boise State might play a little tight with more on the line in this elimination game for the playoffs. All right, let's get to the Saturday games here. And once again, I did a deep dive of that UNLV video, although I just gave you most of the talking points. I wasn't going to go that deep on Friday because I saw some of you might be joining me after the game starts, but hey, I'm going to give you as much info as possible here on WagerTalk TV. All right, let's look at the 4 Saturday top 25 matchups, and we'll start early, noon Eastern on ABC. Number 16 Iowa State against number 15 Arizona State. Yeah, this is the Big 12 championship game we thought we'd all see. 4 teams tied, and these 2 won the tiebreaker, and they play in Arlington, Texas, Cowboy Stadium on ABC at noon Eastern. And 16 versus 15, loser leave town, but the winner's going to be the 4 seed, I believe, and get the bye. How crazy is that? Whoever wins this becomes the 4 seed in the playoffs. And, hey, look, that's the world we live in now. At least we have a playoff, right? At least 12 teams will still be playing instead of just 4. And neither one of these teams probably would have been alive anymore with 2 losses each. However, one of them will win and get the 4 seed, and I think it'll be Arizona State. Let's look at my simulation. First of all, I project just a 1-point win by Arizona State, so obviously I think they're going to win the game. Point spread-wise, the line is currently 1.5 to -2, but I would still give up a teeny bit of value and lay the number here with Arizona State. If you're going to play it, I would lay it. They're just the better overall team, and it really, however you cut the numbers this year, it looks that way. Iowa State is just not a good team. They're a bit of a phony team. They've held teams to just 19.5 points a game, but they've played a very weak schedule. Overall, they're gaining 6 yards per play against teams that give up 5.9. Arizona State gives up just 5.1. And yes, the 19.5 points per game is impressive, but they've given up 5.4 yards per play. Arizona State's given up 21.5 on just 5.1 yards per play allowed. Arizona State's the better team on both sides of the ball. They're also the most balanced offensive attack. And if Iowa State gets behind in this game, which I think they will, they're going to have trouble throwing the ball. They're averaging 7.8 against teams that give up 7.7 yards per pass. Arizona State's given up just 6.3. I would also lean under 49.5 for that reason, as I don't think Iowa State has a lot of backdoor cover potential. But once again, I project a 1-point win, but I'm willing to lay a little bit more here. As long as it stays below that key number of 3, Arizona State would be my recommendation on Saturday afternoon. All right, let's look at the next game here on the daytime card for Saturday. It's a good one at 4 o'clock Eastern, the SEC Championship in Atlanta. 4 o'clock Eastern ABC. We got number 5 Georgia against number 2 Texas. And, of course, this is a rematch from a couple months ago, less than 2 months ago, when they played in October in Texas, and the Longhorns suffered their only defeat of the season. Always love having rematches because we can look at that first box score and really dig in, especially in college hoops. The next couple months when conference play gets in going, especially in February, we get so many rematches in conference basketball. We don't get as much in football, but we do get it here, obviously, with the championship games. And I do think this is a situation, first of all, we look for misleading results in the earlier meeting because it often sets up a good bounce-back spot. And I think that's exactly what we get here. I still think Texas is the better team. My simulation favors them by 2.7, so 2.5 to 3-point win, which is exactly where the line is. 2.5 minus 20, minus 3 in other spots. But I like Texas in this game. Did a standalone video for this one as well, so you can get a deeper dive here, right here on WagerTalk TV afterwards watching this if you wanted more of a deep dive. But some of the things I pointed out in that standalone video is, first of all, Texas is the better team statistically, and I know Georgia beat them, but that was a misleading start because Texas just came out horrendous in that game. 3 turnovers in the first half, quickly down 23-0 because of it, and it was because of it, because 17 of those 23 points for Georgia came directly off the 3 Texas turnovers in the first half. So it wasn't a real true game. I do think the Longhorns were playing a bit tight being at home, and now that they've played that game and they're on a neutral field, I think it actually works to their advantage here. Georgia might have a little bit of a familiarity complex and a little bit of a home edge here, being in the Mercedes-Benz Dome, but I think it is a neutral field otherwise, and I actually think it'll serve Texas well. Other than that bad shot against Georgia, which I think, once again, we can somewhat explain, Texas has been the better team on the field this year, not only in conference games, but overall. In fact, if you look at Texas's numbers in conference games alone, they've been the better team pretty substantially, actually, in this one. In fact, let me pull them up for you here now. Some numbers I wanted to throw out to you. First of all, in conference games this year, mighty Georgia is only plus 6 points per game. Texas is almost plus 14. SEC opponents, Georgia's outgained them 5.8 to 5.1. Texas has outgained SEC opponents 6 yards per play to 4.1. That's 1.9 versus 0.7 advantage. And then when you factor in overall games with opponents played, that mighty Georgia defense, 20.5 points a game, 5.1 yards per play allowed. Not as strong as in years past, especially considering Texas gives up almost half of that, 11.5 points per game, just 4 yards per play. And Texas and Georgia both average 6.3 yards per play on offense. And they've done that pretty much against, for the most part, I would say equal teams. Georgia's defensive opponents have been a little bit stronger. So Georgia might have a slight edge offensively, but defensively I think Texas has a substantial edge. First game was low scoring. Both teams struggled to move the ball. By the way, wouldn't be surprised to see if this one opens up a bit because, as we often see in these championship games, we do see more points. These games have historically been higher scoring than normal. But still, Texas, the better defensive team with a solid, legit revenge motive and a little bit of a misleading loss the first time, and laying just 2.5 to 3. At 3 or less, I like the Longhorns here. And once again, make sure you shop around. There's currently both 2.5s and 3s. If you like Georgia, you got to get a plus 3. If you like Texas, there's still minus 2.5s out there. So it really shows the importance of having multiple books and shopping around for the best line whenever possible. All right, we got 2 more games to come still on this championship week. It's championship Saturday night. We've got 2 8 o'clock Eastern games, Penn State, Oregon, and also Clemson, SMU. Going to give you my projection and my prediction for both of those games. Don't forget, if you want the rest of this year, my personal best bets, my actual plays each and every day, get them right now for just $1.99. The rest of 2024, the rest of December, for just $1.99 complete. This is a special offer this week at WagerTalk.com. No promo code needed. And the sooner you get on board, the more days you get for that price. So the more days you're getting for free, basically, when you sign up right now. The rest of the year for just $1.99. And that is all sports. College and pro football and college and pro basketball. 4 sports every day and night for the rest of 2024 for just $1.99 complete. The sooner you get on board, the more days you get. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. And don't forget, I also put bonus free plays up every day. Basketball and football free plays on my site with analysis. Check out the free play and to get on board the rest of December, the rest of this year for just $1.99, all sports. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. Get there quicker with shortcut wt.buzz/SM. All right, let's look at the 2 nighttime games, both at 8 o'clock Eastern. We'll start with the CBS game. Top 3, technically the best game of the week. Number 3, Penn State against number 1, Oregon in Indianapolis, Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis, Indiana. And as we check the current, and by the way, the lowest ticket price of the week, too. This is technically the best matchup of the week. 2 top 3 teams playing. $20 tickets right now, last I checked. Whereas that number 5 Texas, number 5 Georgia, number 2 Texas game, lowest ticket is $114. In fact, every other championship game, you get a ticket for $50 or less. Because they're playing in big stadiums, obviously, and also they're neutral sites. Both schools have to travel, so you're not getting the home crowd as much. But I thought that was interesting. In the Georgia game, of course, you do have a home game for Georgia. But once again, Penn State, Oregon fans not traveling, the cheapest ticket of the 9 games this Friday and Saturday. Something kind of interesting there. But it's a great matchup nonetheless. On the surface here, let's look at my projection. I do have Oregon winning by just 2.5. The game line is currently 3.5. Might only seem like a point of value, but once again, 3 is a critical number. There's about an 8 to 9% chance that Oregon wins this game by exactly 3 points. So I do think there's line value with Penn State, especially at plus 3.5 or more. And these are 2 pretty evenly matched teams. Now, it is always a concern when you're handicapping Franklin, whether it's days at Vanderbilt, anywhere else, or now Penn State. He has been a bully. He beats up on teams as a favorite and then struggles as a dog. And, of course, their one loss this season was as a home dog and a non-cover against Ohio State. However, one thing that jumps out to me is defensively, both teams, when facing really good offenses, have given up points. Not only did Penn State lose to Ohio State, but they gave up 30 against USC in that narrow win. But then Oregon, only undefeated team remaining, well, they were lucky because they beat Boise by only 3, gave up 34 in that game, beat Ohio State by 1, gave up 31 in that game, and both of those games were at home. So I do think on a neutral field, Penn State is a live dog in this game. Also think the over is worth a look here. And by the way, I did a deep dive on the over-under in this game, another standalone video here on WagerTalk TV. So check out a deep dive on that total. But I do think 49.5 is a little low here, considering that both defenses have been much weaker when stepping up in class against good offenses. And these are 2 good offensive teams. Penn State nearly 7 yards per play, 33.5 points a game. Oregon 35 points a game, 6.7 yards per play. So they're almost dead even statistically offensively. And Penn State actually better defensively this year. 14 versus 16, 4.5 yards per play versus 4.7. So they're dead even offense and defensively. You could actually make an argument Penn State's been a little bit better defensively this year. Yet they're a 3.5-point dog on a neutral field. I think the value's with Penn State in this game at plus 3.5. Also like the over 49.5 once again, as both defenses have been a bit suspect when stepping up in class against good offenses this year. All right, let's look at the final game for you, and that's the ACC Championship. It sounds more like the AAC when you see SMU in it, but no, it's the Atlantic Coast Conference. Not a surprise to see Clemson. What is this, like their 8th time in the last 10 years? But SMU is in it. Whew, who would have seen that coming just a few years ago? Clemson would have been like a 3-touchdown favorite just a few seasons ago in this matchup. And now SMU is actually favored. In fact, Clemson opened as a 1-point advance favorite on Sunday, and now it's SMU minus 2. A couple 1.5s floating, even saw a 2.5 out there. So 2 right now, the consensus line. But SMU is a 2-point favorite, and I agree with the line. In fact, my simulation, 10,000 database simulation, has SMU winning on average by exactly 2 points. So the line is spot on. But if I'm going to play it, I'm landed here because I think SMU is the better team. And Clemson's still getting by on name recognition. In fact, they've been an overrated team this season. In fact, their last 6 games, they've covered once. They're 1-5 against the number the last 6. They have struggled when stepping up in class this year. You look at their losses against South Carolina, Louisville. Georgia blew them out 34-3 in the opener. And then you look at common opponents. We don't talk a lot about common opponents because there's only a handful of games, but it really jumps off the board at you when you look at the 5 common opponents that SMU and Clemson have played this year. Similar results, but the margins have been so much better for SMU. For example, Clemson beat FSU, beat Florida State by 16. SMU beat them by 26. SMU won at Louisville by 7. Clemson lost at home to Louisville outright by 12. Clemson won against Pittsburgh by 4. SMU won by 23. Stanford, they won by 26. Clemson did. SMU won by 30. And against Virginia, Clemson won by 17. At home, on the road, SMU won by more, won by 26. SMU's been better in all 5 of the head-to-head opponents. If you look at scores, and if you dig deeper, it's legit. And then you look at the overall numbers this year. Clemson, all games played, and once again, almost half their schedule was common opponents, right? So you can pretty much look, you're comparing apples to apples here. Clemson overall in the season is not as good statistically. They're giving up 5.5 yards per play defensively against teams that average 5.7. SMU's giving up just 4.7 against teams that average 5.5. SMU, the better defensive team. SMU also the more balanced offense. Clemson is not throwing the ball well this year. 7.4 yards per pass comes against teams that allow 7.5. SMU's averaging 9.1 and giving up just 6.5. Clemson has a little bit of a rushing edge. In fact, they have to run the ball to have success, but now they're facing an SMU defense that's been one of the best run defenses in the nation this year, giving up just 2.8 yards per carry, just 97 yards per game on the ground. SMU is the better team here, and although I think the line is spot on at -2, I'm willing to lay it all the way up to -3 here. SMU, as long as it stays below a field goal, I think they win this game. They're the better team. Clemson remains a bit overrated this season. That game, by the way, is also at 8 o'clock Eastern. That one on ABC in Charlotte, North Carolina. So they're maybe a little bit of a travel edge for Clemson here, but you know SMU is going to be psyched to be in this game. Number 8 SMU against number 17 Clemson. By the way, last week, I put this on X, on Twitter. When Clemson was leading with a couple minutes to go against South Carolina, they held on to win. They had a 59% chance of making it to the title game, or to the playoffs rather. When they lost, their odds dropped down to 9%. And then, of course, Miami of Florida Pitt played after that. Now Clemson's in the ACC championship game with a chance to advance. So they've just been an up and down escalator team, but I think they're 9 lives. The Tigers, do Tigers have 9 lives? I know Cats do. The Tigers might be on their 8.5 lives right now. Hey, comment below. Let me know, first of all, if Tigers of all felines have 9 lives. And also, let me know your thoughts on this game. Mustangs, Tigers, side, total. What are you looking at? Hey, comment on all 5. I gave you 5 of the 9 games this week in college football. Didn't give you the FCS playoffs. You know I love my FCS playoffs. But no, we're looking at the FBS here. And I gave you 5 of the 9 games for free here in this video. If that doesn't earn a quick thumbs up like, I don't know what does. Boom. Thank you. Hit that thumbs up like. I know many of you overlook it, but it does go a long way to keeping the content free and plentiful here on WagerTalk TV. And it also lets me know what you're finding useful. The more thumbs up likes, the more comments below let me know you're liking the videos, the more videos I will do. I will continue to do them on a daily basis, week after week. Not only college and pro football free play videos, but hey, basketball is here as well. Let me know if you want to see more NBA and college basketball free play videos now that we're in December. Comment below. I read the comments and I reply back. Love your support here, and let me know where you like games this week. Which games do you agree or disagree here on the top 25? Include some analysis, right? Include the reasons why you like the plays. If you have that extra minute, the analysis is always appreciated because we have so many people here looking to learn and earn and win together on WagerTalk TV. So once again, comment below, thumbs up, like, and I'll keep the videos coming. Don't forget also subscribe and click the bell for instant alerts so you know when these free play videos are posted. It's very important with the bowl season coming up because you'll get an instant alert when I post free plays for the bowl videos. Also, I'm going to do a lot of those playoff games probably for you. Playoffs! Yeah, that's right, college football playoffs will be free here on WagerTalk TV videos as well. I'm still doing the primetime games for you. Don't forget those Thursday night, even Friday prime games have done extremely well this year, hitting 90% on the season. And also your Sunday and Monday night NFL games. I try to put those up every week for free as well. A lot of them don't make my client card, so I want to let you know which way I'm looking for those of you doing your own handicapping. And also, of course, NFL Fade the Public video here will be up for Week 14 this weekend. So click subscribe and click that bell for an instant alert here on WagerTalk TV. On the way out, once again, a great special this week only. The rest of December, the rest of 2024 for just $199, no promo code needed. And the sooner you get on board, the sooner you save and get more free days because it's a flat rate, $199 for the rest of the year. So don't delay. Get on board right now and get every college football, pro football, college basketball, and pro basketball best bet I release for the rest of this year for just $199 complete. And don't forget, these are my personal plays. If I'm using a game, every client gets it. I have one set of selections, same games I've won consistently with now for 29 straight years, 29 seasons, 28 and a half years technically. Started in August of 96, but this is my 29th football and basketball seasons as a full-time professional handicapper. You know, look, you're doing this for 29 seasons, you're doing something right, and that's because I win consistently. We're not going to win every play or even every month. In fact, we're down in November, and I point that out for a few reasons. First of all, going into November, we'd already doubled our bankroll, and even after a down November, we have still doubled our bankroll already this calendar year in 11 months, over a 100% increase in bankroll. December historically is a great month for all sports, and also because if you're looking to buy the dip, I know some of you want to wait till I have a cold streak and then jump on board. Well, we had a drawdown in November. If that's the logic, then jump on board. But look, the way to do this and do it correctly is to play consistently each and every day with a bankroll and proper money management and emotional discipline, and you will do quite well. Even with a drawdown in November, we're still up over 100% of bankroll, doubled our bankroll still already in 11 months this calendar year, and there's plenty more to come. Get all of December, the rest of the year, for just $199, no promo code needed. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com, and when you're there, check out the bonus free plays. I put a bonus free play with analysis on my page each and every day. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. Get there quicker with shortcut wt.buzz/SM. Follow me on social media at Steve Merril on X and Instagram, at Steve Merril, 2 R's, 1 L, at Steve Merril on X and Instagram. And stay tuned here to WagerTalk TV. There's plenty more free betting content coming up next.